Chaim, Chaim. I hope that there's somebody here that understands English. I'm not speaking just to myself. Well, from the applause, I see that apparently people understood what I said. So if anybody understands what I'm saying, I want to tell you something really interesting. Bechlal in 770, when somebody speaks here, so everybody else speaks at the same time. But usually, l'chol hapachos, if it comes to a story, then people can be quiet at Kopanim for a few minutes because the story is interesting to hear. So I want to tell you a few interesting stories. Something that happened right here in 770, in the beginning of the years when the Rebbe started talking about, the Rebbe started talking about in Mashiach, and that's when it started, the inyan of but the Rebbe, it really came from the Sosa Lasata, but then from the children, that the children started singing, "We want Mashiach now," and then it became a whole mitzvah from the Rebbe about we want Mashiach now, and the Rebbe kochtach very much that the children should be the ones saying it. So in one of the rallies, there was a lot of children's rallies like we have today, but in the earlier days, a lot of times it was here a rally that we had children from other mazdas. So there was a rally over here in the early days, and there was over here a girl that came from some, I don't know where from, but not from a Lubavitch background. And when she came back home, it was her first time here, seeing everybody screaming, "We want Mashiach now," singing, "We want Mashiach now." And she went out from her kalim completely. She came back to her parents, and she was blown away by it. She said, you can't believe it. You got to be there to see this thing. "What are you so amazed about?" asked the father. And he said, you just can't believe it. You got to be there. Tell me something. What happened? He said they were screaming and singing, "We want Mashiach now. We want Mashiach now." And everything was talking about Mashiach. So the father looked at her and with his spilus, and he couldn't understand, "What are you so nispol about? They're singing, 'We want Mashiach now.' You don't know about Mashiach?" Every time you go to sleep, I tell you a bedtime story, and I tell you that we believe, that we believe in Mashiach. Everybody believes in Mashiach. What's so special over here why are you so spilus? So the little girl said to her father, "You don't understand. Of course everybody knows about Mashiach is coming. I know you told me. It's nothing new to me. It's nothing new to anybody else. But they really mean it." That means sie hat erhört that when we're talking about Mashiach, it's a whole different story than everybody else is talking about Mashiach, because we really mean it seriously. I think there's a famous story that I think maybe the Rebbe told it over Pabrengen, I don't remember, that the train was going here on Kingston Avenue, the train that we have here, and a few not Lubavitcher passed by over here. They asked, what is over here, Kingston Avenue? So they said, "This is the Lubavitcher." What is the Lubavitcher? The Lubavitcher, they are the ones who really believe in Mashiach. Now really, every single Yid really believes in Mashiach. Chas v'shalom to say that anybody else doesn't believe in Mashiach or doesn't take it seriously. But there's a difference. There's a difference if you relate to Mashiach as something that is happening right now and it's real, or you relate to Mashiach as something in a general way that you can't quite figure out exactly what it is. You don't know exactly who it is, and you don't know exactly when it's going to be. So then it's a whole different ballgame of how you relate to Mashiach. And this is the reason why this was the game changer. When the Rebbe started talking about Mashiach, and he wanted everybody to be fakach in Mashiach, what the Rebbe really wants is he wants us to really mean it. The Rebbe was after the passion in it, that we should be, several times the Rebbe said that and what gemeint mit an emes, the Mashiach would have come already. That means what's missing is the passion in it, and what's missing is how extremely serious you are about it. So when someone talks, when the Lubavitcher talks about Mashiach, then you see on his face, and you see that he really means it. And what ended up happening in the later years, if we skip ahead, is that the real big tumult in the world, when did the whole world really start storming about, some of them liked it, some of them were upset about it, is once we came out of the shell, so to speak, and we weren't talking about it under the table, but we spoke about it openly, that we identified the Rebbe as Mashiach. That is what really became the game changer. Now, why was that such a big game changer? Because then they knew that we're really serious. Because if you could really and point a finger and say, this is the Rebbe Melech HaMashiach, that's when it became like a shock to everybody. So you really mean it. So the Mashiach is really here. I can really see him, and I know who it is. It's a whole different way of relating to Mashiach. Now, if you could understand this point, this is something in English that we call the wow factor. How do you say the wow factor in Hebrew? I think that in a lot of expressions in Hebrew, they follow similar to English. Instead of saying the wow factor, you say wow factor. That means that when someone hears you saying something, he gets blown away by it, and he goes out of his kelim. And when you do something like that, then you have what the Rebbe refers to as Eires de Tayu bekelim de Tikkun. Because the person gets so blown away by it, so he's not just hearing words. He sees that the person who's talking to him, he's blown away by the wow factor of what is being told to him. And there was everybody knows, the Rebbe said that he wants us to do in Yadagul Mashiach Ba'ifan HaMiskabel. And there's a lot of people that want to use Ba'ifan HaMiskabel in such a way to water things down. But we actually have from the Rebbe himself that he told us exactly how to go about doing something that it should be Ba'ifan HaMiskabel. And the Rebbe spoke about it by Farbrengen, and the Rebbe told his own story. The Rebbe told a story about somebody that was on a yacht, and he was a very rich person, a very chashuva person. I'm telling over the story b'kitzur mitzad Kaiser Hazman, and he went to ask, even though he was such a high status person, and very highly respected. He owned the whole yacht, and he had his own captain of the ship that was driving. He came to the Rav HaChevel, and he asked him, which way is Mizrach? He asked him, what do you have to know, which way is Mizrach? And he told him, because I have to daven. So he showed him which way is Mizrach. And he davened, and then again came the next tefillah, again he asked him. And the captain got very blown away by it, to see that somebody that on such a level like that, and still he has millions and billions of dollars, and all he cares about is which way is Mizrach. That's what he has to know about. This is what blew him away. So that means the Rebbe explained to us that it's the wow factor. It's the wow factor which makes a Ba'ifan HaMiskabel. And then there's other similar stories like that. It begins even way back when the Rebbe was in France, and the Rebbe was talking about to Chassidim back in those days, and this was still in the time of Frierdiker Rebbe, about doing hafotza. And in those days, it wasn't like today. So everybody was like taken aback. I'm going to go and be Mekarev Yid in the middle of nowhere. I'm going to go in the middle of the street in Paris. How am I going to do that? The Rebbe said, come and be, I'll show you how to do it. What did the Rebbe do? The Rebbe climbed up on top of a car. The Rebbe took a car, and from the roof of the car, the Rebbe started talking. This looked like totally from the moon. A person stands up on a car and he starts talking. Who is he talking to? He just starts talking. But everybody looked at them, wilden Wunder. How is it that you do something so extremely odd? That itself was mekad of people. So around the car, people started gathering around. What is this person? What in the world does he want? He must have something very important to say. So that blew them away, and dafka doing something odd and extreme is what was mekarev the people. And in a similar way, there's also another famous story. I don't remember if the Rebbe told it, or I think the Rebbe told it by Fabrengen, with Reb Moshe Fellow. Was also a very similar story. He had to go to a very big gvir, and it took him years to get an appointment by him. When he finally got the appointment, he told him, "I'm giving you only 5 minutes. That's all you have." But then he looks at his watch and he sees it's time to daven mincha. No, he actually came into the office. He came into the office at a private audience. The Moshe Fellow was there with the big billionaire, and he only has 5 minutes to talk to him. He's depending on this to fund his Chabad house. And he turns to the wall and he starts davening mincha. And the gvir was looking at him. "What are you, nuts? You're waiting for years to get to me, and now you're finally here. You want to waste your time talking to the wall?" But it turned out to be that dafka that it was at him dernumen, because he saw a davar ploi. He saw that this person cares so much about what he has to do, that even if he's going to lose billions of dollars by not talking to me now, he's ready to meichel on everything in order to do what he has to do. So dafka that is durgenommen. So in a similar way, why am I telling you all of these stories? Because the main point here is that when you want to accomplish something and do it ba'efen hamiskabel, the way how we do in ba'efen hamiskabel is dafka through this, that we do a davar palai, but the person sees that you really mean it. The Rebbe actually, the way that when the Rebbe spoke about it, the Rebbe gave it, at that time the Rebbe kochzach in Mashiach now. So the Rebbe said that if you meet somebody in the street, usually you say, "Hello, how are you? How are you doing? What's your parnasa? How's it going?" And then you start talking to him about the Yom of Yiddishkeit. So the Rebbe said, "No, that's not what I want you to do. When you meet somebody, the first thing, even before you say hello, the first thing you say, Mashiach now." So then the Rebbe said, if you talk like that, the person will take you for a Meshugana. That's how you start talking. It's not, you're not an anständiger Mensch. You have to talk bedarke hanimus. The Rebbe said, no, it's not like that. It's not true. Dafke that will break through to the person, because the person will see that you are normal in every other way. If they see that you're normal in every other way, but so why are you starting like that? They'll see that because it matters to you so much. So what is the point is that the person, if you want to be mashpia on somebody and really pile by him, what piles by him is that the person sees that you really mean it and how much you really mean it. Now, what is the kesher of all of this to the Armon? Because, as you will soon hear from other speakers, we have a distinct plan of exactly how to go about to be persuasive, how to persuade people that everybody, the whole world should join in to want to build Armon, including the people who don't yet realize it, don't yet understand it. As part of that plan, it entails an educational system. That means that there will be people from over here, hopefully in an organized way, that are going to be teaching the people who don't yet understand about the Armon why the Armon is so important. The details, I'm not going to get into that. You'll hear that from the people that will speak after me. But the point is here is this. There is a kol admeis chalusha, there is a yesh eimrim, that in order to get everybody on board, that everybody should want the Armon, we have to try to water it down. So we're going to make an Armon for Mashiach without saying that it's for the Rebbe Melech HaMashiach. So therefore, even somebody who was bothered by it, to say the Rebbe is Mashiach, you're pointing a finger, that's too much for him. I don't want the Armon. But if you tell him, listen, it's not, I didn't say it's the Rebbe, I say it's Mashiach. Yeah, everybody believes in Mashiach, so we're making an Armon for Mashiach, and therefore everything should be neutral. So the Rebbe tells us that if you want something to be niskabel, the way it's niskabel is not by watering it down, but dafka by going more extreme, dafka by identifying who Melech HaMashiach is, and that's the way of how you really get the person to be blown away and blown over to your way. I just want to be Messiah with one small point, and that is the whole Indian of the Armon altogether. The first speaker that spoke here, he tried to explain why are there manias v'ikuvim to build the Armon. Well, I'll tell you why. It's very simple. Because the Armon has a very big, major wow factor. When you build the Armon, when we start building the Armon, it's going to be headline news in Yediat Achronot and Ma'ariv. All the newspapers are going to say, look what these guys are doing. They really mean it. They're building a palace of Mashiach. He must be coming any second. This is serious stuff. That's exactly why there are people that don't like the idea. Because they don't want Mashiach to be taken too serious. They don't want to have that wow factor. So with this, I'm going to be Messiah, that this, if we want the Armon to be built, and this is the Geya Dafka to the Bachim, what can Bachim do? Because Bachim are going to be the educators that are going to educate the public about the wow factor of the Armon. And when people get blown away by seeing that the Armon is such a big wow factor, this makes the Armon Ro'im Moshiach Ba'ofen Muchashi. You're really serious about it. Mashiach is coming now. Why are you building now? It must be coming now. And that is what is going to be Memaya the Geula, that we'll see the Isgalus, Melech HaMashiach, La'inei Basa. L'chaim.
יישר כוח גדול הרב לאו. Thank you very much.
I just forgot to mention one thing. For anybody who speaks English, we have a kuntres for everybody in English. If you get in touch with anybody who speaks English, everything is mavur over here.
אני רק אתרגם בקצרה, סתם. יש פה את השקית עם החוברות האלה, כל מי שיכול או יודע שיקח ויחלק לאמריקאים וכולו.